Right, it seems to have stopped raining now, so you can hear me talking. Where were we up to? Oh, one of the reasons for taking it apart was it didn't seem to work. The switch didn't seem to work properly. We could only control it if it was in the on-S position, which I think is on with sound. If we pushed it to the on position, the opposite way, nothing worked. But since I've taken it apart and done this a few times, if I push it to the on position without sound and turn this on, it's now working. So that's actually as far as we need to go. It looks like it was just that switch needed a bit of work on it. Probably had some dirt or corrosion in there. And now that we've operated it a few times, it's working fine. Or it may even be in position. It doesn't go far enough over to one side. That's the other possibility. So we'll find out when we put it back on again. But because we've gone this far and we got the gearbox apart, and I'm going to leave it off at the moment just so we've got space, we'll have a look at the steering. So to get the steering off, I suppose we could call this the steering servo because it's the bit that's got the gearbox and the motor in it. So lift that off and use the screws. Okay, so motor, no doubt a couple of gears to actually turn that side to side. Will that come apart easily? We might be lucky. It's another one with a couple of clips in it, and I hate ones with clips in. Right, one clip, two clips. These both clips undone at the same time. Got that up. There we go. Right, should we zoom in a bit? Hang on. Right, that's a bit better. So, what can we point with? Motor, some sort of slipping clutch thing to protect it. Small gear, big gear, small gear, big gear, small gear, big gear, small gear to that bit. So if we take these apart carefully, to try and remember where they go. Okay, so that's the actual bit that does the, moves the peg to move the, that piece. Can you see that? About like that. Okay, and just there we've got a couple of spring-loaded plastic bits which do the centering to bring the steering back to the center, because the motor drives it to one side and then the spring brings it back to the middle. And in there's also an adjuster to move that to one side or the other if the steering's a little bit off. That's done from underneath. But what I wanted to do was just have a quick look at this bit. So it's some sort of protector. Yes, I've seen these before a couple of times. The motor spins those round. Those two half moons are loose. They will fall off, as you can see. But as the motor spins round, that pushes them against the inside of that circle, which does the actual turning. I now don't have enough fingers to put that back in place. Yeah, I've seen those around a few times. That's my daughter. Right, you guys still there? That was my daughter video calling me. Okay, so we just had a quick look at that, seen how those two half moon bits, as the motor spins, they push out, they grip on the inside of that, and that drives it, but it gives it protection. Stress relief, I suppose you could call it. So we've seen that. I'll put that to one side a second. Yeah, we could have a look at this, couldn't we? Oh, don't lose those screws. No, what I'll do, before I take that apart, I'll put this back together so I don't lose the bits and don't lose the screws, and then we'll have a little look at the centering mechanism. I'll be back in a minute. Right, I've put that back together so we don't lose the bits. We'll have a look at that steering thing. What's the easiest way to get that out? What is going to happen is the springs are going to drop off the bottom of it, and then it will all go horribly wrong. Let's see if we can undo those bits first. I don't know if that will release it and allow us to lift it up in one piece or not. Yes, it will. Okay, that's good. So, these are spring loaded. Move side to side. So when the steering goes side to side, they go side to side, or at least one side will go. So if it goes right, as we're on top of it, that pushes that way. And if it goes the other way, it pushes that way. And when the motor stops driving, that spring pulls it back to the middle. And then up through the middle there, is that piece. It's got a little arm sticking out, so if you turn it one way or the other, that adjusts the steering. So can I get a... I just go up under there. There you go, you can see I'm turning it. Oh, it's actually going to come out if I push it. That makes it even easier. Right. So that would sit up under there. So if you turn it slightly one way or the other, oh, that's a bit too stiff for me to turn now. Right, focus. Yeah, that would push it slightly one way or the other to adjust the center position, or return to center. And that bit there is just to put a bit of tension on it, sort of a ratchet effect. Pull that out again. Yeah, that's just putting a bit of springy tension on it. I suppose it also stops you going too far one way or the other. Right, anything else in there we want to look at? See that steering arm going across clearly now? So that bit sticking out there goes in between those two there. And then this piece here, sort of a U-shaped piece, is the bit that goes in to move the steering side to side. And it does look like if I undo those two bits, that will all drop out and we can look at the rest of the steering. Yeah, right, that's just going to drop off and be awkward. Okay, that's our steering arm. I don't think we need to take those apart any further. In fact, we can't, because those are push fit, friction fit in there. I could take the mud guards off, but I think we can work that out. That's just 2 screws to hold the mud guards in place. So that goes on there, that one goes on there, and that's our steering. Can we get that back in place? Yeah. Turn it back a little bit and then forwards. Oh, that needs a bigger screwdriver actually. My daughter just sent me a photograph now. I normally put my phone on Do Not Disturb when I'm filming. Well, that took a bit of manoeuvring to get the circuit board back in place. It's only because I've twisted and turned it a few times while we've been working on it, that once it was aligned correctly, it just slotted in perfectly. So, that's all back together. We could just have a little look in there. Possibly, maybe. To have a look at the sound effects. Thanks for watching. If you want more information, check down below in the video description. If you like this video, you might like this one up here. And if you want to subscribe, you can check out my channel over here. Up here is my latest video on my channel, and down here is a video playlist associated with the video you've just watched. Thanks again for watching.